and welcome back to So God Told You to Write a Book, Now What? I'm your host, Wendy Jo Cerna, and we are jumping into the new year with the second half of Season 2. I hope you've enjoyed the interviews with the authors in the first 9 episodes in this season. I know I have. Wow, what a treasure trove of wisdom, experience, and practical tips. But don't turn off those listening ears just yet. There's more to come in the months ahead. So hop on board for the second half of Season 2 of So God Told You to Write a Book, Now What? I'm convinced you're going to find exactly what you need to help you obey the call of God on your life to create the book He has given you to create. Hey, if the author and finisher of all things told you to write a book, He believes that you can. And so do I. So come on. Let's write. Hello, authors, and welcome back to So God Told You to Write a Book, Now What? We are in episode 13 of Season 2, and today it's my distinct privilege to interview a man who has written over 50 books. So he is a real writer, author, prolific in his output. His name is Mr. Steve Rzasa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And he is coming to us from Loveland, Colorado today, where he lives and works. Is your work all being writing now, or do you do other things on the side?
Yeah, it is. I was a library employee for many years, probably about, I think it was something around 14, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I did newspaper work at a small town newspaper. And now it's with a company that does ghostwriting. Fiction and nonfiction books.
Okay.
So yeah, so I am doing writing pretty much full time, but also, there's things like interviewing over Zoom. I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Pretty much do, anywhere from 6 to 10 Zoom calls a week with our clients that we work with.
Okay.
So it's kind of a mix of things now. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. And I saw on your website you also offer some editing kind of things as well.
Yeah, mostly on the developmental side of things.
For fiction and nonfiction?
Yeah, mostly it's been fiction. I have done some nonfiction, but most of my nonfiction is through our work.
Okay. Because all of your books that I see on your website, they are all fiction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've written any of my own nonfiction. So it's kind of weird. So that's kind of funny because when you write somebody else's nonfiction as a ghostwriter, it kind of feels like you're writing fiction.
Right.
Except you're not making up stuff that much. Yeah. There are times when you do exercise creativity because, for example, if somebody is telling you a story about when they were a kid and they ran down to the creek, they're going to remember some of it.
Yeah.
But you also add details that are reasonable. Like, if the story took place in the spring, you can add in things like the birds were chirping, the leaves were green, it was kind of breezy. Even though a kid's not going to remember that, it's still logical to assume that was taking place at the time. Yeah. So it is again an interesting mix of both fiction and nonfiction.
Yeah. And we got connected through Tina Gollings, who was on, I believe it was episode 4. We were talking about the anthology Eon City Burnout, and you are part of that anthology, right?
Yep.
Yes, I enjoyed that thoroughly. But you've now taken, so how many authors are in that anthology? 9?
There are 9 of us in there, yep.
Yeah, and you are one of the 9 authors, and you each had a chapter, and you took this chapter on, is it Nev Nakata? Is that, am I saying that right? The character who...
I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Just looked it up.
That's how we're pronouncing it.
I didn't hear anybody say it.
Okay. Now we are, from here on out. Okay.
There you go. We got it.
But you have a full novel based on this character that's coming out on March 2nd, which is is it?
Just to clarify,
okay.
The Kickstarter launches on March 2nd.
Oh, okay.
The book itself won't release until later in the spring. Of course, because we want to give people who sign up for the rewards a chance to read it before everybody else does.
Oh, okay. Yep. So Kickstarter is on March 2nd, and then the actual full launch later. And it's called the Null Razor Heist. And I have read it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, good. I'm glad. Glad to hear that.
It's a very fun ride, quite literally, in a lot of ways. Yeah, but it takes that character and just fleshes him out a whole lot more. But it's also still set in Eon City, this
Mhm.
realm that you guys built together. How did that work?
It was an interesting process because I don't remember the details exactly of how it started. Could have been it could have been J.J. Johnson, who was the original brainchild to put it all together. I don't recall if he was the one or not, so I'm going to blame J.J. on this one.
Okay.
It was probably his idea to have a cool project idea, and we all said, "Yeah, that's fun," and then it became a real thing.
Yeah.
Well, we spent some time, working on a document that had some world building to it. I kind of kicked things off a little bit with some ideas that popped into my head.
Hmm.
Basically, we wanted some sort of future dystopian feeling giant city, mega
Yeah.
city, kind of like a Blade Runner feel to it or something. Like everybody
Yeah.
always uses Blade Runner as the example, but that really is like the prototype for most of
Hmm.
those stories. Um, and we have a meeting. We try to meet once monthly in our writing masterminds group, since
Yeah.
none of us live in the same state pretty much.
Okay.
Um, and we just spent several meetings fleshing out ideas, technology thoughts on everything from how society generally works to like
Hmm.
computerized implants to medicine, all those kind of things, because we all have different experiences and backgrounds and stuff too.
Yeah.
And then at some point in that process, I wrote the prologue,
Okay.
the incident, the breach that takes
Yes.
place,
Right.
and everybody else kind of planned their stories based on what was going on in that, and the world just kind of expanded. And that was the
Uh-huh.
easy part. The hard part was going through and editing them all and making sure we didn't like step on each other's toes.
Right.
It worked
Yeah.
very smoothly, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And Tina tells me you have a part two coming of that. Is that true?
We do have a part two
Okay.
coming. I believe the tentative goal is to have that launch later in the summer,
Okay.
with most likely a cover reveal at the Realm Makers Conference at the end of June.
Ah. Ah.
That's
Okay.
that's our tentative goals we have
That's your
there.
goal.
We do have a prologue ready. We've got some stories that are in process right now. This one's been a little bit trickier to plan because now Eon City Burnout exists.
Yeah.
So we can't just kind of wing it like we did before. We've got to
Right.
pay attention to that. And now that certain things have been uncovered regarding the conspiracies going on in the
Uh-huh.
city, you have
Yeah.
to take that into account. You have to build off of them. And we're doing more connecting of the stories now that there's like
Okay.
a resistance forming in there.
Yes. Yes.
The title is Eon City Afterburn.
Ah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very clever. And so Nev Nikata, I'm sure, will be in there again.
Oh yeah, he will.
Oh yeah. Oh
He will.
yeah. Heisting
My plan for
hovercraft.
him is I really liked how that book turned out too, and so my plan for him is to kind of do short books like this one of his, like the Null Razor Heist, and time those so that we have, we had Eon City, the Null Razor Heist, another Eon City, another Nev
Ah.
Nakata, and kind of, just kind of
Yeah.
keep playing in the world that way. That's my goal.
Yes. And I see you've done that over the course of your career. If you look at
Mm-hmm.
your website, you have your books grouped into like, okay, I didn't know how you say this, the interstice? No,
Interstice, yep. Mm-hmm.
interstice. Interstice. And how many books are in the interstice?
I don't know actually.
A lot. A lot.
A dozen plus. The Mercury Hail series is kind of the core of it.
Okay.
But the funny thing is that I had written three books over the span of a few years, right before the first Mercury Hail book came out, Mercury on Guard, and the books, The Echo Watch, Airfoil, and Mercury on Guard, all take place like really close to each other, and the
Yeah.
three characters overlap.
Yeah.
They mostly overlap in Mercury's series, but
Okay.
that was where the idea came of like, it really started out because I was writing. I can't remember if I'd started Echo Watch first or if I'd started Mercury on Guard first, but at some point, the character of Loredana Lark, who's like the key figure in that Procyon organization,
Yeah.
I don't remember if I created her for the Echo Watch or if I created her for Mercury, but at
Mm.
some point I put her in both.
Uh-huh.
And she became a bigger deal in the Mercury stories, but she's still in the Echo Watch. And so
Yeah.
that's where I finally was like, you know what, let's just make all three of these guys be in the same. And then it just kind of snowballed from there
Yeah.
because
So
there was so
you,
much. Once I came up with those, like there was so much more stuff I could think of to explore.
right. So you like build a realm write a
Mhm.
story, and then just continue to explore that
I
realm.
do like that a lot because I mean
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun to build the lore of the
Yeah.
world, if you will. And I also do it for a selfish reason because it's really hard to dream up a new one.
Right.
Once you've done it a bunch of times, you're
Right.
like, what can I come up with that's original? So
Yeah.
it's sometimes it's kind of fun just to stick in your one universe for many
Right.
books and say, okay, I don't
Yes.
have to build the world this time. That's
Yeah.
a little easier to get started.
It does take a lot to build a world.
It does.
Absolutely.
It does.
So let's go back to the beginning. Where did you
Sure.
start writing books? Did you always want to be an author, or where did this start?
Pretty much always. I don't think I have the picture here with me. I should keep it at my desk. Um, my parents had saved for me this little drawing I did of a like spaceman in a suit in one of those, George Jetson looking bubble
Yeah,
topped
yeah, yeah, yeah.
spaceships flying through space toward a round space station that has a library on a sign on top of it. And that was
Oh,
when I was in like third grade or something like that.
yeah.
And so between that and I think the first evidence we have of me writing a story was when I wrote one about, I built like a Lego spaceship when I was a kid. I was in
Yeah.
like second grade, I think. And I wrote a little story about what the characters were doing, what the two guys who I
Yeah.
stuck in the ship were when I was playing.
Ah, yeah.
And so it kind of progressed from there. I just kept being interested in creative writing in
Hmm.
school. And I wrote a novel length story when I was in high school.
Hmm.
Didn't do anything with it. Nobody's ever going to see it. That's for sure. I mean, maybe that would be a good
Yeah,
Kickstarter thing to
exactly. There you
release is
go.
like
Yeah.
the lousy, the lousy, not so great
The
sci-fi
origin
book I wrote,
story, yes, we'll
the
call it.
origin
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
um, and I wrote another book, kind of started during college, finished it up after college when I, right around that time period. And so I
Yeah.
was always kind of playing. I was always
Yeah.
writing
Yeah.
down ideas, maybe short story things, but I never really did anything professional with them. And then the first book series that I worked on, The Face of the Deep space opera book series that I have, it's more like a Star Wars, Star Trek feel to it.
Hmm.
I wrote that as one big book, like 600, 700 pages or something like that.
Okay.
And it got published in 2009, the first half in 2009, the second half in 2010, two books instead
Yeah.
of one by Marcher Lord Press, which then later became Enclave Publishing, which is, of course, like now they're the powerhouse in Christian sci-fi fantasy publishing.
Hmm. And your book is still available through Enclave.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yep,
true?
yep.
Yeah. Now, so you also have your books like grouped in some, you have like PG
Yeah.
13. What does that mean? What does that mean to me as a
Well,
reader?
okay. The basic thing that means is if you read one of the PG ones, there's no swearing, there's no sex on screen at least, and
Yes.
the violence is a lot more tame than what you'd see. It'd be like the violence you would expect in something like Star Wars.
Okay.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it's not it's not really gory.
Yeah.
It can get a little frenetic and action film. There's lots of things happening, and
Yeah.
people getting hurt, shot, explosions, things like that. But it's not like bloody gory. I
Okay.
really don't do that kind of bloody gory
Right.
action either. The ones that are PG-13 though, so some of those, like the series I do with Daniel Gibbs,
Yeah.
that I co-write with him, he already has his own story world. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of a part of it.
Yeah.
And in his writings, his are already PG-13. Like
Okay.
there isn't any sex. The violence is, again, very Star Wars-ish. But he is of the writing opinion that when he's writing folks who are in the military and involved in heated action, they're
Uh,
not necessarily going to swear in their normal day-to-day things. But when the action gets heated, something might slip out.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's some swearing in there, but it's not like, you're not like dropping the F-bomb every five
Right.
seconds.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
not completely clean either, if
Okay.
you will. So that's the distinction between those two. Is I
Okay.
try to, and I did that because I had started hearing about, you know, I had never written the books for kids. They were
Yeah.
always written I just wrote them.
Yeah.
But because of the way they were written, the style, and also the fact that they didn't have any of those things in them, I think it appealed to especially Christian families who were like, my kid
Yeah.
reads a lot. My kid reads above
Yes.
his or her grade level.
Yeah.
They want this stuff, but I'm worried about that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to just provide a way to say, hey, look, these are the ones you're not going to run into this kind of thing.
Yeah.
These are the ones that there might be a little bit of objectionable material, but it's really only going to be in the form of swearing, if you will.
Right.
So that was my goal there.
Okay, that makes sense. So you didn't intentionally write like YA fiction.
No.
It just is
I
accessible
almost
to them.
never do anything intentional when it comes to writing.
Okay, all
That
right.
should be my quote. It's
Yes.
all just kind of, my writer friends know this and they're probably laughing at it as they're watching this because it's like, Steve is just like, sure, I'll try that idea. Why not?
Yeah.
And it'll either work or it won't. Most times it turns out all right. So I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
And then that unfortunately encourages me to try something else.
There you go. And you continue, you do, once you start, it seems like you've done a lot of series. So once you find a character or find a realm, you do. But some are like full length and some are more like novella length. Is that true?
Some are. And again, that was that actually, I'm trying to think how that developed. I think it grew out of just kind of experimenting again. So some writers start out doing short stories and short form stuff, and then they move to, I'm going to try and do a novel. I started out the other way. And so I had always done longer, 300 some odd pages project because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. I wasn't really that familiar with short story writing until I kind of ran into Havoc magazine. I don't know if you've heard of Havoc before. They are a company that does lots of short fiction, flash fiction, if you will. Okay. So, like 1,000 words or less. Yeah. And I ran into a few people who are like, you should give us a try. It's like, we like your stuff, but you should try some of the short form. And I'm like, okay. So then I started playing with short stories over the next several years, probably the past 10 or 11 years, I really got into it. The novella part of it came about because I had seen some people do shorter things. I had read books that were shorter form and enjoyed them. It was impressed, like, okay, well, the author pulled off a really good story here that's more than a short story, but it's a nice quick read, like a third the length of a regular novel. And I think the first time I actually wrote a novella on my own was when I tried out the Vincent Chen series that I have there, the 4 novellas, Severed Signals being the first one. And I had done that originally for a publication that was looking for novellas, but it didn't really work out. And I kind of did it on my own and like, okay, I can do this. I like this. And so I just kind of kept playing with it.
Right. Well,
and sometimes it's kind of hard to figure like whether I want to do a novella or not. So sometimes it requires a little bit of shuffling and thinking before I even start writing.
Right. But you finish like you said that first book was like 700 pages long and then you split it up. But these you intentionally go short and short and short and not like write the whole thing out and chop it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Some of it depends on the subject material and whether I want the book to be long. Like the Mercury Hale books, most of those are longer, 300 plus words. So like normal novel length. But sometimes I just, it's just like, no, I think this one's going to be a shorter one. Yeah. It's hard to explain how you pick that.
How you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish there was a rhyme or reason to it, but there really isn't.
So you've also done your books in a variety of publishing protocols, let's just say. So tell me how is that working for you? You've done just completely independent stuff. You've done things through publishers.
It has been a mix. So, I have the 4 books from the Face of the Deep series that are with Enclave and also a standalone for us humans. Those are all with Enclave. I've done most of my books independently. There's a short set of 3 space opera books that are with a small publishing group called Takamo Universe. That's, again, something where I wrote in their story world. The biggest one really has been writing with Daniel Gibbs over the past, it's been 5 years now. Yeah. Time flies. And in that time, I've written 2 full series for Dan that have totaled, I'm going to do the math here real quick, 15 books.
In 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
That first year, I think we finalized stuff and I started writing during COVID. I think it was December 2020. Mm-hmm. In the next 13, 14 months, we did the first series, Deception Fleet. Wow. Which was insane.
Yes, that is insane.
It was nice to take a break after that.
Right.
I tell you what. Wow. But one of the things that works for me that doesn't necessarily work for other folks is I can write things very quickly. Yeah. Like I can in an hour, depending on the subject material, I can usually give you like 6 double space pages.
All right.
So a full length chapter for me usually takes me 2 days
Okay.
to do.
Yeah.
So that's just I credit that almost entirely to my journalism career, where I had to learn to
Hmm.
type things quickly to
Right.
meet deadlines and things like that,
Right. And succinctly and quickly and
and succinctly and quickly. And so the real
yes.
blessing of working with Dan has been he has spent, not only has he written his own stuff just as quickly as I do, but he has spent his time really honing in on how to independently publish things in
Ah,
terms of the marketing and promotions and whatnot.
yeah.
So it's almost like I'm supporting his efforts by providing the material, and
Yeah.
he's got all the marketing and everything down cold.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just
He,
kind of support and supply him, which is a great
yeah.
match because I'm terrible at marketing. So
Oh, join the club. So,
right, I think we all are.
yeah, I know. I was just bemoaning the fact this morning. So, but Daniel Gibbs, his website is beautiful, I have to say. I
It is
went
a
on there and
very good website, very
it's
good.
a really, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it sucks you right in and it's really well done. But it was fascinating to see how he had stuff laid out and his whole
Hmm.
like universe. He's got a timeline and where everything fits in. And yeah, it's a lovely website, just FYI going. But how
Hmm.
did you connect with him? How did you connect with Daniel?
He actually, I believe that he stopped by in the Realm Makers Consortium group on Facebook, which the Realm Makers Consortium is a place where members of Realm Makers and people interested in it gather, like-minded Christian sci-fi and
Okay.
fantasy authors. It's not an official part of Realm Makers, although
Hmm.
people from Realm Makers are involved in it. They kind of help moderate it,
Okay.
but it's volunteer moderated versus like the official Realm Makers conference
Yeah.
operating it. So it's
Okay.
different that way from the Realm Makers page. I say that just because sometimes people get confused about like, wait a minute, why isn't this being done in the consortium? It's like, well, because that's volunteer run. And while it does, link up with Realm
Yeah.
Makers, it's not officially owned by them, if you
Okay.
will.
Okay.
But he stopped in there because he was looking for somebody who could help write,
Oh, really?
co-write in this thing. And I was like, well, it sounds interesting. And I wasn't sure what he meant by co-authoring, but
Yeah.
after talking with him a bit, it's really a matter of I do the bulk of the writing, and he makes sure things fit in the story world, adds his touches to them, edits them properly, things like that. We did write a few books where there was more of like a 50-50 share,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
will, with the
Yeah.
writing, where we had like a crossover going
Uh-huh.
on. But it's great because there's a lot of freedom in
Yeah.
writing it. He, as long as I follow his rules for the
Okay.
story world, that's really great. Yeah.
So you providing a lot of content and he
Hmm. That's
packages,
my job.
presents, and yeah, that's a very interesting corroboration there. I like that. So
Hmm.
you've done a lot of different ways of publishing and printing. I mean, like, a
Yeah,
variety
really.
of things.
Yeah. Again, I see new things and I like to try them out. And if they don't
Yeah,
work, sometimes they don't work. And if they do, well, that was fun. That's I like
right.
it.
And I like the freedom that we have as authors nowadays, that there's
Oh yeah.
there's options available to us that just
Yeah. There's tons.
didn't used to previously exist. Like you had to go through gatekeepers for everything, and now maybe so, maybe not. Um, but I appreciate that. You've also have participated in a fair number of anthologies, as far as I could
Hmm.
tell, and
Hmm.
those are quite a variety pack of
Yeah. Again,
anthologies.
again, some of those all comes back to whatever happens to strike my mood. If I think it looks like it's an interesting project. Yeah, let's see, there was the anthology that was, I can't remember the name of the anthology, so I'm not looking at my website, but you might be. The
What is
anthology that was based on the Beatitudes, I think it was.
Beatitudes and Woes.
That's Beatitudes was. Yes, that
Yeah,
was a really good one. That was fun because the whole idea was each story had to be based on, blessed are the
right.
such and such one of the Beatitudes that way. And so that was, yeah, it was fun to, okay, how do we make that beatitude figure as like a key point in a short story, especially a fantastical short story
Yeah,
that carries both the emotional and spiritual weight, but isn't necessarily, I mean, they can be kind of on the nose, but not too much, that little bit
right.
of balance to make it work that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And doing the short stories is great because I usually find a way to, it's kind of an excuse for me to play more in a story world. So
Hmm.
I've done, for example, short stories in anthologies that were based in the world of the Bloodheart and the Lightning Fall, the two fantasy the fantasy duology that I did.
Yeah.
And I kind of stopped writing in that, but it's like, oh, I could write a
Oh,
short story in there,
go back
something
there.
new that
Yeah.
they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I enjoy about doing those.
Yeah. They look very interesting and very fun. So let me ask you this. So
Hmm?
you are a Christian, you write,
Excuse me.
but your books are not like overtly Christian, as far as I could tell. Now, maybe the Beatitudes and Woes clearly coming
Yeah. Hmm.
directly from a scriptural basis, but tell me about that. How do you interact like with the Holy Spirit, or how does the Lord direct you and all? Because you go on all different directions.
Hmm.
How does that work?
It's well, the ideas kind of appear. And I'm always kind of thinking, okay, is this the right direction to go with this?
Hmm.
And so sometimes if I'm planning a story, maybe I haven't started writing it yet, I'll set it aside
Okay.
and be kind of like, okay, well, if I'm supposed to be working on this, let me know.
Ha.
And I'll kind of keep an eye out. It's not like a direct, it's for me, it's never been a direct, hey Steve,
Yeah.
like voice from on, hey
Yeah, yeah,
Steve,
yeah.
you should do this.
Yeah.
That's never been the way I've heard or experienced things. But what I take it as is, for example, if I have a project idea and I'm going,
Hmm.
it's looking pretty good, but I'm not sure I want to start it. I don't
Okay.
feel like I'm ready to start it. And
Yeah.
I let it sit. And then I'll be working on something else or maybe taking a break. And all of a sudden there'll be this idea that fits like almost perfectly
Hmm.
into what I feel like was missing from it.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't even recognize it was missing. I put it in. I was like, I feel like that's a God thing
Yeah.
working there. It's like, he's like, okay, now this is what you need
Yeah.
for this. So that's why you were waiting. Like, oh, I get it. I get it now.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works,
Mm-hmm.
really.
Yeah.
And I always take it as when the ideas go a certain way. Because back to what you were saying about the overt, not overt. A
Yeah.
lot of my earlier stuff was overt,
Okay.
and some of it still kind of is. So the Face of the Deep series, that's very overtly Christian.
Okay.
Same with the Vincent Chen novellas because they're in the same story world, and the character is a Christian. So what I do lately is I try to write characters who are either intentionally looking for answers,
Mm-hmm.
unintentionally looking for answers, or they are themselves Christians trying to they're not doubting their faith, they're not wrestling as much with it in terms of what do I believe. It's more of like how are they applying it
Yeah. Yeah.
in the world. It's like they're secure, they're solid.
Yeah.
How does that work
Yeah.
in all of this as they're dealing with it? Like in Dan Gibbs' story, for example, his books are not just, I wouldn't say they're necessarily Christian books. He has a lot of Christian characters, but he also has a lot of Jewish characters and a lot of Muslim characters.
Hmm.
And his whole viewpoint is on how they interact as they face other threats
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
their nation, their country, their
Uh-huh.
in space, whatever you want to call it, their planetary systems. So that gives a lot of opportunity again for like how the Christians witness by what they do, how
Yeah.
they interact with others, how they love others, how they serve and support others.
Right.
So that's been a really interesting, like, different take on versus
Hmm.
just a straight,
Yeah.
which you would say is like the prototypical Christian fiction
Right.
story of either somebody who isn't a believer who becomes a believer or somebody who is a believer who's having a real crisis that they
Yeah.
then get through.
Yeah.
It comes down to also the fact that I'm never really satisfied with writing the same thing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
any new project to do has got to have something different that I want to try out while still
Hmm.
preserving those same kind of ideals
Yeah.
and spiritual aspects.
Yeah. Yes, you don't compromise your own integrity in any way, shape, or form, but you're always coming at it from a little bit different angle.
Yeah, yeah. Like for example, with the Mercury Hale series, Mercury himself is not a Christian. He has questions. He
Yeah.
sometimes cries out like all people do.
Yeah.
He's not sure what to believe about things, but there is a character who is in kind of like a mentorship role to him,
Yeah.
semi-antagonistic mentorship role.
Okay.
But he's the Christian example
Mm.
because he is a believer, and Mercury sees him do things and is like, oh wow, why
Huh.
is he doing that?
Yeah.
Why is he different?
Yeah.
So, and again, I try not to make it into a sermon,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it just happens. And
Yeah.
that's what I try to build it more. I hate to use the word organically because it's so overused, but it
I know.
really is. Try to
Yeah.
use it. At least I didn't
Yeah.
say it was granular. That's another
Well,
word.
what is the quote?
What is,
Preach the
yeah.
gospel by and and if necessary, use words but by all means, but
and I do have them use words, but again, I try
right.
to. I'm thinking also in the terms of this is a Christian talking to a non-Christian,
Yes.
and I'm in the, Mercury's books are written first person, so I'm in the kind of
Okay.
headspace of how would a non-Christian interpret what is being
Yeah.
said to them,
Yeah.
and how would the Christian characters say it to them so as not to like bludgeon them
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
with
Right.
scripture, but demonstrate and say, yeah,
Yes.
you saw me do this. This is why I do it.
Yeah.
Now,
Interesting.
the nice part is that some of the characters can be really blunt because they're blunt people anyway. So
Okay.
you get that leeway if you build them up of being a certain way, and then when
Yes.
they talk about the gospel, it's like, oh, that's how they naturally talk
That's
anyway.
just who they are.
It
Yeah.
doesn't feel forced.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who they are.
Uh-huh. I like that. Very cool. So tell me about Realm Makers.
Hmm.
I've Tina, also Kim Vandal told me about it. I know there's a conference coming up in June,
Hmm.
St. Louis, Missouri, I
Yeah, St. Louis.
think. But how long has this been going on? And are you part of the inception of this or
I, I I don't remember what
okay.
the first year was. I know they had their 10th anniversary a couple years ago. I want to say it
Okay.
was 2012.
Supposed to have been
2012
around a
was the
while.
first year, maybe. I think it
Yeah.
was 2012. I wasn't involved in the first one.
Okay.
It had been going on as a smaller conference. It kicked off basically because there were writers, again, who were Christians who wrote science fiction and fantasy,
Yeah.
who, for some reason or another, they didn't feel as supported
Hmm.
when they went to Christian conferences, because the Christian conferences mostly just focused on modern day contemporary fiction, I guess you'd
Yeah.
say, where, the Amish fiction was really hot for a long while.
Yeah.
But these were Christian writers who, like, they loved C.S. Lewis, they loved
Yeah.
um, J.R.R. Tolkien,
Yep.
they love Star Trek, they love Star Wars, they love all
Yeah.
these things, and wanted to express their faith through, like we just talked about, the
Yeah.
characters and stories that they do
Yeah.
in those fantastical settings.
Yeah.
So they decided to kind of start their own thing.
Huh.
Becky Miner was kind of the queen of realm makers, as she's referred
Okay.
to, and her husband Scott. That the two of them start it, run it. There's a handful of people who've been with it for a long time. Raylene Burke is one of those who's been with it for a very long time as well. And now it's grown into, I don't remember the numbers. Well, let me back up. So
Yeah.
2024 was kind of the last time that we had the conference as it had, quote unquote, always been.
Yeah.
And there were something like 500 or 600 people between attendees and vendors and presenters and things like that.
Yeah.
Last year was the first time they really tried to expand it into what they're calling the Realm Makers Expo,
Hmm.
which is kind of, it almost becomes two separate events that are connected, where you have the writing conference taking place where people go to classes, they
Yeah.
learn things, they interact with folks there. But you also have a bigger venue for book sales, for
Oh,
artists, for designers and things like that. It
okay.
always used to be that the bookstore vendor part of things was included in it. And it
Yeah.
was, it was getting so big that we were running out of space, which is a great problem to have.
Yeah.
So the expo then became a way to have like a big space, almost like a mini Comic-Con
Okay.
of Christian
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, uh, producers of stuff,
Yeah.
if you will. And so that's what they're aiming for again this year, is to have that. And then, it was a good turnout last year, I think.
Is it?
And so we're just excited to see how it grows. I say we, I'm just kind of like a contributor to it. I don't actually run anything or am
Right,
involved.
right.
I just kind of got into Realm Makers accidentally because I heard about it a few times. And then once I was in a place where I started going places with my books, a couple of people I knew were like, you should come to the next one we have in 2017 in Reno. And I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And that was the first one I went to.
And what do you love about it? I mean, why do you keep going back?
The people. I know it
Ah.
sounds kind of trite, but it's totally true. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I love going and taking books and selling books and meeting new people that way. But honestly, one of these years, I'll probably just show up as a volunteer and not bother with any of that stuff, because really it started out, and it still is, even though it's bigger and there's more people involved. It started out as a way for you to get together with folks, and
Yeah.
you could do stuff online, but when you're in person,
Yeah,
you've just got, I mean, we learned that through COVID. When you're
we
in
did.
person, like, the online stuff works. I'm not
Yes.
knocking it
Right.
because I
Right.
make a living off it that way. And it's very, very handy. However, it doesn't beat in person because
Mhm.
it just feels looser
Yeah.
to me. And like you
Yeah.
can just, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but
No,
and
I get it.
after a year of being online talking with your friends as perpetual little
Right.
squares, it's really cool to be with them
Yes. Like a
and be
whole
around them.
you're a whole body.
Yeah.
Wow, look at you.
And
Yeah.
I like doing things. There's mentor appointments and things that are done there. There's like critiques
Okay.
that younger and beginning authors can start with. And I really like meeting new people that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you kind of find your tribe there.
100%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because so you said early on you were doing when you wrote things as a child, they were sci-fi-ish. True?
Mm-hmm.
George
Mm-hmm.
Jetson, all that. And that's just where that's your sweet spot, sci-fi.
It is. I've kind of ventured outside of that a little bit. I'm trying to think if I've written any stories that don't have some weird fantastical element to it. I'm kind of coming up blank here.
Yeah.
I think I maybe wrote one or two short stories that played it straight, like absolutely straight. I
Yeah.
wrote one. So there was a short story contest. I've lost the name of it now, but I didn't win with it. I got a short story that came in really good and advanced. I advanced into the next rankings of it.
Yeah.
I wrote one short story about like a snowplow driver that was 100% just like it could have been in a Hallmark movie or something.
Okay.
And I think I've written a couple others that were more like historical fiction without any fantastical elements, but it's probably only been like two or three, and the rest have
Yeah.
all been strange in some way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear that every now and then. I'm like, Lord, could I just write like, a cozy mystery or a rom-com or something a little less
Yeah, no,
fantastical? And he's like, well, go ahead if you want to, but it's sort of what flows out of me is I liked having these supernatural sort of
yeah,
out there stuff that expands minds and pushes people a little to the edge.
I do. I have to say, I do like. I've discovered. I'm assuming other authors have not told me this before. I wish I'd known this cheat code. When you write, I've discovered for me at least, when I write a book that has fantastic elements but takes place in the modern world,
Yeah,
I love that because I don't have to make things up for the setting.
precisely.
Like I wrote the book I wrote called The Bad Guy, the book that takes it's a book from like a villain henchman's point of view
Okay.
that takes place in that same Mercury universe. I set it in Anchorage
Oh,
and like actual places in Alaska,
yeah,
and like 90 not 90 80% of the book is like you're riding a bicycle along the trail along
right.
the Anchorage coastline, the nature trail that's there,
Yeah.
or you're hanging out in a restaurant somewhere. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that was that easy.
There
I don't
is a
have to
world that
I don't
already
have to
exists.
make up like
Yes.
a fictional space station and decide what species are there, what the food is like, and how the
Right.
technology works. Like that stuff's all real. Like, okay, great.
Yeah.
So I wish I knew that sooner.
Yeah, there is a world that already exists and that we
I
we
know.
actually live in and habitate. Yeah, it's true. It makes it a little
So
easier.
I've that's part of why I have so many books in that Mercury Hale Interstice universe is because yeah, I can make up a fake city, but I don't have to describe how a car works or
Right.
what it's like to walk downtown. Like those things are real and I can pick those up.
Yeah.
Or, I've been to the real places, just describe them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
could save the energy, the more creative energy for like the fantastical things that happen.
Yeah. And the plot line and all of that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I sometimes am envious of those who write historical fiction because they get to go to places and do research. They
Hmm.
travel to England or they travel to places around the world to do research. Like,
I find that
hmm.
historical fiction intimidating to
Yeah.
write. Like I think I've only written one. Well, no, I set a couple of novellas in like the 1950s in
Okay.
fictional places, but the only book where I tried to really closely pay attention to historical details, it wasn't a book actually, it was a short story in that Heroes of the Realm anthology that Realm Makers did a few years back. I want to say
Okay.
2018 or 19. And I had lived in Maine for a long time and became kind of obsessed with the War of 1812 there and
Ah,
reading all the
yeah.
history about it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
studying that. And so I basically set a superhero story during that
Hmm.
conflict. And
Yeah.
that was tricky because
Yes.
that was a
Yeah, because
lot
you got
of
to be true to life
heavy
then. You
digging.
have to
Oh
check
yeah,
your
yeah.
facts.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Because people who love that era, they know all,
Hmm.
they will catch you on all that stuff
Absolutely.
if you're not accurate in it. I know.
Yep.
I've read so much World War II fiction. I feel like I lived through it all. But and one of my stories, I suppose now it's considered historical fiction because it's written in the 1980s. So, for
Probably.
half of my audience, they think it's historical fiction. I did the
Right.
research because I lived through it, so I don't have to. I don't know. I don't know. I do not categorize it as historical, but I mean, maybe someday it will. So you say marketing is not your favorite thing, but
Mm.
what do you do in marketing that you find is effectual? Anything, any tips you could give our listeners that
It's been kind of hard because I feel like that once I start to feel like I'm getting a hang of it, the rules change.
it changes, right?
Advertising, I've never really gotten into. I really need to just kind of, hunker down and try it out.
Yeah.
I've tried it a few times, didn't work so great. And my other problem is I give up too easily when it comes to those kind of things, which is funny because I don't give up on the writing when it's hard to do. But,
Yeah.
Substack has proven, I
Okay.
think, is starting to prove effectual. I only just started into Substack right around the beginning of the new year.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying that more. It feels like less of a headache than other things I've done before. So I
Hmm.
like the platform.
Okay.
Um, there's just something about it that seems a little bit easier to do, especially, and not as clunky as some of the other ones I've
Yeah.
used. So
Yeah.
I'm liking that one pretty well.
Yeah. And you're doing a
I,
Kickstarter for this
yeah.
latest book. Is that
Mhm.
something you've done with other books?
I have been part of a couple of Kickstarters. So I
Okay.
was a part of the Eon City one, of course,
Yeah.
which was part of the reason I thought, you know what, I should try that with this book as well, since
Okay.
it's all tied in there, get some
Yeah. Yeah.
crossover audience as well. And I had also done one with JJ Johnson and Jason Joyner when we did our three-way crossover between our three book series with our main characters, Interstice Undone,
Wow.
which
Nothing complicated about that.
no, nothing complicated at all. Nothing complicated about three authors with three different styles, writing chapters from the points of view of three or four. Actually, I think it came out to be about seven different characters.
Holy mackerel.
And our characters showing up in the other chapters written by the other people. So then you're writing the other characters that the
Right.
other people write.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Wow.
turned out great.
That sounds
I'm
like
not even I'm
quite a
not even gonna
challenge.
try to like be humble. I think it was awesome.
Yeah.
We had
Cool.
such a blast doing it.
What's the name of that one?
Interstice Undone. And
Undone.
so it's
Okay.
it's it's one of my favorite book covers too, because it has Mercury Hale in the front.
Yeah.
It has DeMarcus, who is the primary character of Jason Joyner's Anointed
Okay.
teenage superhero series that he does.
Okay.
And then it has Iggy from the Iggy and Oz series that JJ writes. And Iggy had never really been depicted
Ah.
before because JJ's covers don't really do they don't do the thing where like you feature the character on the front.
Yeah.
They're really
Yeah.
cool covers. They just don't have the main character on the front.
Yeah.
And so that was like the first time you got to see
Oh.
Iggy imagined like as a real person.
Okay.
And so the three of them on the cover together
Yeah. Fun. Very
it was
fun.
so cool.
Well, I love
And
the way
it
that you
worked.
interact with other authors, and
Oh
it
yeah.
probably brings new energy to just the whole writing process, which sometimes is such a solitary, sitting in your room with your computer
Yeah,
exercise.
it really is. And it is nice too because then you can talk through, okay, guys, come on, help me out. I'm stuck
Yeah.
on this plot point or my character isn't doing what I want him to do and things
Right,
like that.
right.
You get more than just your own brain saying back to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
what do I do
It's like
now?
having a
Hmm.
critique group, except it's not just it's a collective
Yeah, yeah. And
goal.
we do read and critique other people's stuff, but it's not like that's like not even
Yeah.
close to the sole purpose of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very fun. I love that. So the Kickstarter for this book, the Null
Mhm.
Razor Heist, uh, which you say is March 2nd, is
Mhm. Yep,
ending.
that's
Is
when it
that true?
starts. That's
So
when it
when
starts.
when
Yep.
people join your Kickstarter, what do they gain? What's the benefit of that to your?
So the main benefit for them is, I mean, the biggest one is you get to read the book before anybody else does. Like
Yeah.
I say, the release will be later in the spring. I think I'm aiming for probably late May, early June. I haven't pinned that down quite yet.
Okay.
But the Kickstarter runs for 3 weeks, so you say by end of March, like all the paperwork and gathering info from people is pretty much wrapping up. You get into
Yeah.
April. Electronic rewards can be delivered very quickly, of course.
Yeah.
Paperback ones, hardcover, they take a little bit longer to get by mail. But the goal is
Yeah.
to get those fulfilled, obviously, all before
Yep.
the book releases.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, And so again, the benefit is you want to get the sneak peek, you want to be able to read it before anybody else does. But there's also things like, even at like the lowest level of backing, your name goes in as a thank you for backing
Oh,
the
okay.
project. So you get a
Yeah.
supporter name kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
You get, there's paperback autograph copies. So that's another benefit is
Yep.
autograph versus if you buy
Yep.
off Amazon or
Right.
somewhere else, you're not going to get it that way. And then the hardcover is, I guess you would call it limited edition because it's not for sale
Yeah.
anywhere.
Ah,
The paper is only going to be the paperback. So the hardcover would be only through the Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. Okay, so where do you get the hit card? Do you do it through Ingram Sparks then?
I am doing the hardcovers through Ingram Spark. Actually, if you give me
Yeah.
a sec, I can show you both of those. I'm going to unblur my background real quick
Okay.
because you've probably experienced this. You try to hold something up when the background's
Yeah.
blurred.
Yes.
So this is the paperback,
Yeah.
looking really
Shiny.
nice, really
Yeah.
shiny there.
Yeah.
And then the hardcover has just like a slightly different design on the front of it. But the really cool part is on the inside, instead of just the cloth,
Yeah.
case
Under the
for it,
jacket. Yeah.
it's an
Oh,
artwork case laminate
sweet.
cover. Yeah.
Okay, so
So
this
that's really
mostly
fun.
this is going out through an audio podcast, but I'm going to tell you people, if you're not going to see this visually,
Oh,
go
I
online and
forgot.
look. Go online
I
and
forgot
look at
about
the
that.
covers. Yeah, no, that's all right. I
Yeah,
wanted to see it.
if they go to the Kickstarter for the Null
Yeah.
Razor Heist and they go under updates, one of the updates does show the paperback and hardcover side by side.
Okay.
And it also shows like the inside flap pulled back so you can see that case.
Yeah, that's really
jacket thing.
cool. So that's something you can do through Ingram Sparks is get that
That
hard.
is, yeah. It's really,
Wow.
and Ingram Spark, I mean, I know that if you Google Ingram Spark, they have lousy Google reviews. That just has not been my experience with them
Okay.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
I've had some hiccups with them before, and they've
Sure.
always been good about solving them.
Yeah.
I feel like their hardcover quality has improved over the past several years. I did a hardcover from them, I want to say about 3-4 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And it was pretty good, but you could tell it wasn't quite up to snuff as big publishers. Now I think it's getting a lot closer.
Yeah.
It's looking really nice. And they also recently got rid of the last of their fees. Yes, you know about this. Yeah,
I know
that's
about
a big
this.
deal.
It is a big
So I mean
deal.
that should be kind of like an alarm bell for KDP, Amazon. I feel like.
Yeah. So for our listeners who don't know, Ingram Spark is a place where you can go as an independent publisher, author, and you can upload your content just like you can on KDP through Amazon. But they allow you to get, they will, like big bookstores can buy through them because you work out a return policy through Ingram Spark, which Amazon does not have. So bookstores will not buy your books through Amazon because there's no return policy. But Ingram Spark allows you to build that into your contract. It's a little complicated. I don't quite understand all of it, but I've done it. But it also then, so if you're doing it this way through Ingram Spark, like if you had done this through Amazon, your book would have to be live in order for you to get that hard, or you could do like an advance.
Right. So Amazon, have you done ones for KDP before? Have you ever seen them?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So KDP does have KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, Amazon does have an author proof copy that you can get before you pull the trigger to make it live. However, it comes with a gray strip around the top that says not for sale.
Yes, proof.
So you can't really see it.
Yes.
Without it. That's what I like about Ingram Spark is your proof copy doesn't you can set it up even so that when you publish it, it doesn't necessarily have to go out and be distributed.
Right.
You can publish it as just like it's there and you can print what you need.
Yeah.
So that's why you can do things like the hardcover, have it just be available to order whatever you need whenever you want, without it ever showing up on a bookstore or library's radar. So you can have those exclusives that way.
Right. So you can do the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's
when
what
I
was
wind
wondering.
up finalizing the Ingram Spark accounts for both of these books, eventually when I get to publication day, the Null Razor Heist paperback will be live at Ingram Spark for bookstores and libraries. The hardcover will not.
Okay. So, you're keeping that as an exclusive.
I will, and maybe sometime in the future I might, but I don't want to dilute the exclusive part of it.
Right, and it's also they're a lot more expensive. both for
Yeah.
you as author's copies and as for your
Oh,
readers
the
as
other
well.
thing I should mention, almost
Yeah.
forgot, kicking myself there. One of the tiers that I'm doing for rewards on the Kickstarter is to be a character in a book.
Oh,
And I'm giving people the option, like either a
nice.
character that we work on and create, or it could just be you if you want to
Ah.
show up. And I played with that idea because I got the chance to have myself be blown up in a spaceship a few years ago in a book when a
Oh,
guy was just soliciting names. He's like, "Give me names." I'm like, "Here's my last name," and he goes, "Oh, that's great."
that's a good
And so
one.
I
Yeah.
have this book on my shelf with a bookmark, and you open up, you can see how like Commander Rzasa gets like disintegrated or something. I'm just
Ah, that is fun. So have you
yeah,
had
yeah.
takers on that? Do you have people that have
Well,
like,
they
oh yeah,
can't really. I've had people express interest. They can't really
okay,
be takers on it yet. So when the Kickstarter
okay.
page isn't live, all you can do is be a follower to it.
Ah,
And the advantage there is that like you get some of those updates, and people have gotten those updates,
yeah,
you know, as they're following along with it. And so then when a follower then follows through and supports one of the tiers, that really helps boost the Kickstarter
yeah,
on their listings and everything like that. So
yeah,
it shows Kickstarter that you've got that support kind of pre-built and that interest pre-built in it.
yeah, yeah. And so let me just go back. When we were saying Ingram Spark has removed its fees, they used
Mm,
to, first of all, they used to charge you just to upload your content, period.
hmm
Then they removed that fee and said, okay, that's free. But then anytime you do an update within what, the first 60 days or something, after the
Yeah,
first 60 days, then they charged you a fee of $25 or something
yeah,
every
and
time.
that was for those like 20. I believe it was $25 for the interior and $25 for the cover.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. Yes, it was because I just recently did that. I had some new covers done and I had to go in and pay $25. Should have waited a month or two because now they're now it's, but I
Well,
didn't
I feel
know.
like it kind of snuck up on us.
Yeah, it did sneak up on us and I'm glad. And maybe that's our voices being heard of like, hey,
Hmm
why I don't have to do this on Amazon. I can go and free of charge and change anything at any time. But
Yep.
now Ingram Spark offers, and I'm happy to see that. That's good. All right. I ask every author this.
hmm
If you were talking to a first-time author, someone who's not been down any of these roads before, what's a tidbit of advice that you would give them?
I think it's kind of two part. Like I think that you should think about what kind of market you want to write to and what you would want your first published work to be, and like focus a lot of your effort into that.
Yeah.
But you should also still kind of experiment with other writing in the background. So let's say, for example, you want to write a big fantasy novel and turn that
Yeah.
into a series, and that's your focus. You should still maybe play around with some other genres,
Mm.
maybe enter a few short story contests, maybe even do some simple things like Havoc Publishing always lists prompts that they have
Ah.
for different months or different themes and things like that.
Yeah.
Take some of those prompts and themes and just write yourself a short story, even if you're not going to do anything with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all, I think one of the mistakes that a lot of people make that makes them feel disheartened is they kind of put all their eggs into one basket, if you will.
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to write this fantasy novel for publishing, that's all I can do
Yeah.
for like the next 3, 4, 5, however many years.
Right.
But you really should play with the things because you never know. You might stumble into something and be like, oh, maybe I want to write a novella about this and I can use that
Right.
in some other way.
Yeah.
Um, that's really my thing is to kind of balance that, focus on one way of going into
Mm.
the market
Yeah.
and also play with other things. Another thing to remember is that deciding whether to be self-published independent versus traditional when you first
Yeah.
start out can be a tricky thing because I've heard different things and I don't know which are true or which aren't. But sometimes there's word of, well, if you self-publish something and it doesn't go great, and then you try to have another story, completely different story, and go to a publisher with it, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, but you self-published that and it didn't go good, so we're not sure we want you
Yeah.
because you don't have a good track record because you
Right.
established that track record. So I think the important thing is deciding early on, being fairly sure
Mm.
I want to go independent or traditional
Yeah.
and sticking to one to start with.
Okay. All
And
right.
how you figure that out, I don't have an answer
Yeah.
for, unfortunately. Because I'm
Thank you,
giving
a
you
wise
advice.
one. Yeah.
I'm giving advice that like I didn't do, obviously. It's like this is what I should have done. Did
Yes.
not do, but
Well,
that's okay.
that's why you can give advice because you've been down the
Hey,
road a ways already. So I appreciate
it's true.
that.
It's true.
And let me also want to let our listeners know that you are going to be at the NCWA conference in May,
Hmm.
May
Hmm.
16th, which is going to be in Everett, Washington. It's a one-day event, but it's a packed day. I've seen the schedule.
Hmm. It looks like it.
Yeah. And you're going to be there doing what?
I'm going to be doing two sessions. One is going to be on collaboration, if you will,
Hmm.
co-authoring,
Yeah.
working in an anthology, those kind of things, working with a writing group, those kind of things, just based on my experiences there. And then the other one's going to be on world building and the
Ah,
importance thereof.
okay. Excellent. So Steve will be there. Now, will the Null Razor Heist be available then? Mid-May? You don't know yet. I'm pushing the
Too
envelope a little.
early, too early to say. I mean, we'll probably have Eon City there.
Yes.
Either Tina or I, one of us will
Yeah, yeah,
have that there.
yeah.
I'll be bringing some of my other books as well.
Okay.
I'll probably be bringing the collected hardcover that I did of the Vincent Chen books.
Oh,
So
okay.
the four Vincent Chen novellas, I did a hardcover
All
omnibus, I
together.
guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because then it only turned out to be like 450 pages.
Right. So then your novella thing is out the window. You just have
Yeah,
a
well.
really long novel. All right. That
Well,
works.
some people don't want a really long novel, so that's
No,
why I bring along
exactly.
the first novella with me. And it's like, if you don't want all four of them as the big one, I just got the little guy to start
Okay.
with.
Ah, I
But some
see.
people really like hardcovers, so
It's
there's
true.
that too.
It's true. So you'll be there, NCWA. It's May 16th in Everett,
Hmm.
Washington. You can go on the Northwest Christian Writers website. It's still available for registration. I think it's only like $150 or something for the
Yeah, I
whole
think
day,
so.
and there's
I'm pretty sure.
food included. And so go look that up. Steve will be there if you'd like to meet him, see his books, pick his brain a little bit more, attend his workshops. I'm also going to be doing my next few podcast interviews are with other presenters at the conference. So I want to give people an opportunity to get to know you a little bit more before we just show up and try to figure out who you are and what you have to offer us. So this is like a preview of coming attractions, as it were.
Right.
So I thank you for being with me. I really appreciate your time, Steve, and I really have enjoyed your writing, the stuff that I've gotten to. I will tell you,
Great.
sci-fi and cyberpunk, they have not been high on my list of things to read. But I'm finding you're sucking me in a little bit, so I will I
Well, and
will
I haven't. I mean, I've before we did Eon City, I hadn't intentionally written a cyberpunk either.
yeah,
So it's again, it always comes back to the characters. For
yeah,
me, it's like the world building is important, but sometimes can be almost incidental. If the characters aren't working, nobody's going to be interested in it.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but the cyberpunk is pretty fun too. The
it is fun.
talking
Gives me
cats
my
and
flying
such.
cars, talking
Flying
cats. Yes.
cars and talking cats are pretty darn great.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I
Yeah.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. And we'll see you in May in
See you then.
Everett. Yeah. And listeners, as always, thanks for listening. I love and appreciate you so much. Blessings and peace. Shalom, shalom.